We dive straight into the West Coast Eagles news tonight with the confirmation from the board that Adam Simpson has survived a season like arguably no one ever has in the history of the game to continue in their role. At a meeting today, the board unanimously agreed that Adam would remain as senior coach, the chairman said. No one knows our playing list better than Adam. He's already seen us through the first phase of the rebuild. We are confident he can take us forward and take us where we aspire to be. Adam is central to our development plans to assist the club's rise up the ladder. It was deemed to be a bit of a 50-50 going in, Caro, but still a fair degree of surprise that he survived the axe at West Coast.
Well, it's a huge surprise when you talk about the season, and we'll have a look at the numbers in a moment, Craig. Obviously, the payout was going to be huge, but West Coast are a very wealthy football club. They have tens of millions of dollars in their coffers.
Do you think it was money or belief?
I think it was partly money. As extraordinary as it might sound, Adam was precarious but still in with a chance to coach next year until the Fremantle debacle. And then he seems to have turned it around off the back of the Western Bulldogs victory, which is when the public got behind him. I mean, there was an amazing campaign by West Coast supporters and the media who had been on his back all year. And I just wonder whether they got a bit nervous, the board. There will be a clean out at the footy club. There'll be a lot of changes. Trevor Nisbet, the CEO, fully expects that he won't get his last year, and there'll be big changes made around the coach. Who knows whether they'll stick with that decision? I can't call it tonight, but I am amazed.
So am I, Caro, and I disagree with the statement that he steered them through the first phase of the rebuild. I would argue the rebuild hasn't even started yet, and I think even the club has said we're going to get younger and it's going to get more difficult for us. So he needs to come back. This is the decision they've made. For me, it's the wrong one. I can't believe it. I'm shocked by it because these are the numbers. To your point, Hutchie, and as we've said repeatedly, no coach in the history of the game has survived numbers like this. These are your two biggest score sources, right? So scores from turnover, that's what everyone judges themselves on. That's where they rank. A long way down from North Melbourne, who are historically bad as well. And then look at the scores from stoppage, over 500 points worse than North Melbourne. And look where Carlton sits. So, look, for Adam, now that they've made this decision, he's got to come back, Lordo, with energy and he's got to drive standards. They're the two things that I'd be focusing on because those two areas of his coaching have seriously been lacking for at least 2 seasons now.
Okay, now I agree with you when you made the point that no man can survive a record that he's had in the last 2 years where you win 4 or 5 games across 44. I agreed with that. I thought he'd be in trouble. They can just fall back on injuries at the West Coast Eagles, but I asked the question, do guys get injured because they haven't been fit enough? And that could be a problem because of the standards that have fallen so far. They've backed in their man. Obviously, the 2-year deal behind him would have certainly helped. And let's see if anything changes next year.